Hello, it's Andromeda LC, and I'm back with another recording. How are you guys doing? How's Corona consciousness? Right? We're all learning so much about holistic health, about stress management, about connections, relationships, about new economies. I know right now there's a total shutdown, of course, of the world, but this doesn't mean that humanity is not evolving. So if you look at human history, okay, we see that times never stood still. It's not because we had like a stable kind of experience the last decades that time wasn't changing us as humans and our environment and our systems. So for example, do you remember the time when internet was non-existent? Okay, so maybe you don't, but your parents do. Do you remember the time social media was non-existent, or when only you had a cell phone and not the whole social media? So think about what differences or what changes did you see within your lifetime. All right, so pick a few and just try to understand that change is not necessarily a bad thing, but change is very human. So us as humans, we choose our change as a collective. We are making systems that support us or that don't really support us, but these changes all come about with the technology, with our thoughts, with our structures. All right, so try and pick just maybe 2 or 3 examples of what big changes you've seen in your lifetime so far. Maybe you've seen a change in your direct habitat. All right, so maybe you remember your street changing or the house. Maybe you changed countries. Oh, my bird! Our bird just escaped. Ruby, 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 Ruby. What shall I do? Like catch him? Ruby, I trust that you want to stay with us, okay? So you get to fly around and come back home. Can you see him up there? He stays in our green room, we call it. It's like a fenced off living room. But now he just escaped through the door. So yeah, anyway. So, and ask your parents now, like, or someone that's sitting next to you, what changes did they see within their lifetime? So, of course, I'm asking you to ask the previous generation on what changes did they see in their lifetime. And then your parents can also maybe answer the question for their parents, so your grandparents. Or maybe or you can ask your grandparents, so give them a call right now and ask them what changes did they see in their lifetime. And if anything, they probably remember what changes their parents saw, so your great-great-grandparents, in their own lifetime. So make the phone call now and share with your parents and have a nice discussion on all the changes that human history, human development has seen in the past decades, past generations. Of course, these changes go back in time with each and every generation, each and every grandparent, and you are a product with our times of these human development. So now let's think about what changes could we still be expecting. So this is like we're looking into the future, into the trends of tomorrow. What changes should we implement? So for yourself, catch 2 or 3 changes that you would like personally to see happening in your life and surroundings, or for the world. So maybe you can choose one for your personal life, which is very important to you, one for your surroundings or your family, which is very important to you, and one for the third. Munir, Ruby escaped.
Ruby.
He's sitting here. And the third one would be for the world. Of course, something that's important to you. And if you're with a parent or a colleague, ask them as well. Number 1, 2, and 3. 1, personal, 2, your environment or your family, and 3rd, the world at large. By the way, how do you like the treehouse? This is an excellent outdoor activity. Maybe you can build a treehouse in your time away from the screen. Recording. So what we're doing right now is putting in perspective a human personal development. So meaning we're putting in perspective whatever is happening nowadays and before and in the future. We're putting it in a bigger perspective, which is human history and human development. Even in your own life, you've seen big changes in technology, in the way we live, in the way we relate, okay? And not always necessarily very supportive, because obviously more screens gave us more screen time, gave us more addiction, okay? Gave us more social distancing instead of coming together, right? So of course, like maybe you have always been with screens like me. I grew up with parents that were in the computer technology. So my mom is a computer engineer and programmer, and so her first computer was a big box in a factory. It was, or an offices actually. It's a big huge box, and they put in discs, okay, just cartons actually. She had to punch the holes, which is like zeros and ones, and put them in the machine, and then the machine will read this one and zeros. So that was the first computer. Can you imagine? There was no nothing other than that. There was no laptop, there was no PC, there was no phone, there was no social media, there was nothing. There was no internet. Then my parents moved to the United States. And in the United States, they had a career in big banks and companies, and they started working with the first PCs, personal computers. My dad is in finance, and he was a big fan of computers. From this moment on, he bought every Apple product imaginable. He's a big fan of the Apple computers, Apple products. And so he's always been up to date, more than I will ever be, or maybe even other young people. He was up to date and would always remain up to date and buying the latest versions of computers. And it's his number one hobby. So imagine at home, of course, I grew up with personal computers, with laptops and such. So probably no different for you. The thing we're trying to discover here is how much, I'm going to ask you, how much of our human life, or how much of the world is actually online, so on the internet, which internet came about in the late 90s. So only 2 decades ago, that means 20 years ago, 2 times 10 years, we did not live with internet. All right, so maybe you have a cousin or older brother or sister who's 20 years old, and of course your parents, they did not have internet. I did not have internet. When I was your age, I did not have internet. We had no phones, we had no computers, we had no screens, we had no tablets. We had the TV. That's all. Then, and I'm not that old. I'm not even 40. I'm 38 this year. So imagine I went from no internet to internet with not only a phone, which is used for calling, mobile, but to social media and, well, you name it, everything that you live with. But how is it affecting our lives? So I'm asking you this question so you can answer it for yourself. Like right now my phone is ringing and I'm using the laptop to talk to you. This in itself is unimaginable without internet. All right, so how much of your life is actually on the screens? And how much of your life is off screens? And how much do you value your life on screen? And how much do you value your life off screen? So reflect on this. And this reflection moment can create a balance in your personal self about how you want to proceed in your next day and days and future, okay? So what I'm trying to do with you is create a vision of leadership, okay? A sense of leadership. Leadership means that your thoughts are important to others and to the world. Whether, it doesn't matter who you are. So you can be a student and you could be a president of a company, or you could be a mother at home, or you could be a mother balancing work-life. You could be an athlete, you could be a doctor, it doesn't matter. Your thoughts influence the other people and the world. Now, why do we need leadership? Leadership is actually thought leadership. So it means your thoughts, if they are healthy and good and supportive of yourself and the world, then we can call you a leader. And with thought leadership, you're going to be showing certain behavior and taking certain actions. And certain actions, you're going to be communicating about it, and then you're going to be making decisions. All of this is what we call behavior. So you can look at behavioral change, behavioral therapy, behavioral studies, okay? So what is behavior? The initial start of behavior is a thought, and we can say like a thought comes after having certain values, okay? So in coaching, we tend to look at what are your values, because from these values you're gonna have certain thoughts, feelings, decisions, behavior, which is either supporting you or not supporting you. So leadership is very important in the next centuries for few reasons, but one, it is for personal reasons, it's for family, and it's for creation of the new world. So because we are experiencing our world in a certain way nowadays, which is not supportive of our planet, of Mother Earth, of nature, of everything that we depend on, such as oxygen, food, animals, the bees, how important are they in agriculture. So we need a system that is supportive of the environment we live in and of our own human nature. All right? So we need you to be a leader in these kind of changes. Leaders do not copy-paste. Leaders have their own values, their own thoughts, and their own vision for the future, and their own actions and behavior and decisions towards the future. So there's no point in copy paste, copy paste, copy paste if that copy paste is leading to defaults and viruses, okay? And not just this virus, meaning viruses in our human psyche, in our human body, in our human relationships, in our human environment, which is nature itself, okay? And a human environment would also be society. So how do we work together as a peoples, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna just introduce to you how can you develop your leadership, all right? The best way is to be in contact with leaders. Leaders can be it can be anyone, but usually they'd be a little bit more advanced, or more advanced in their thoughts, or more advanced in age, or more advanced in experience about certain subjects, but usually it comes back down to what I've described before about thoughts, life, etc., how we do things in an innovative way. So if you are in contact with anyone that you consider a leader, then that's a good start, as well as working with, I think I'm spitting here, as well as coaches. All right, and because coaches also, they tap into your leadership, so your own wisdom. All right, so you are the leader. It's just when you get in contact with people that are already thought leaders, it will influence you for in a supportive way. So instead of pulling you down, which is not leadership, okay, anything that's pulling you down, whether it's your friends or colleagues bullying or being negative or discriminating or stressing you out or harassing you, this is pulling you down. This is not leadership, okay? So leadership is anything that goes up, that makes us grow, that makes us expand, that makes us strong, that makes us happy, okay? So if you are experiencing any negativity, this doesn't mean you're not a leader. This means that you need this negativity to learn something and make it positive, okay? So we call this adversity. We use this to, we call this alchemize, yeah, like in a science lab, and make it positive, and then continue from there. So can you name me, or can you just share with me, even if it's in your personal thoughts, something that you are experiencing which is negative in your life? Maybe you've never shared with someone before. Maybe I can encourage you to share this with someone, and knowing that if that someone didn't hear you the right way or didn't support you in the right way, that you continue and tell someone else. And you tell someone, and you tell people or professionals your problem until you've reached someone that is supportive and positive for you, which is a leader for you and your problem. So please do that. And we will always need this kind of leadership and supportive systems in our life. So it's not because we are adults. When we become adults, we're not necessarily in no need of support. So on your way to becoming an adult, it is very important to get the guidance, to get the leadership, to get the mentorship, to get the support. Okay? And no different for you as a parent. Parents and grown-ups are not necessarily adults. Adults are well-rounded people that can lead themselves and other people. That's what we call an adult or a true parent. Now, if you as a grown-up are suffering from too many problems or from certain problems or negativity, this means that there are still lessons to be learned and there's still growth in order to become your own leader in a positive way and to lead others, such as your children and other people, into a positive direction. And no, no one needs to be perfect. But you also need to share your problem with other people or professionals so you can move ahead in your leadership, which meant like turning something negative into positive, because this is really our only growth. Okay, if we can work on ourselves from the inside and with our skills, this is how we can grow and make things better for everyone. Okay, and for everyone can mean just you and your child, or children amongst each other, or a family unit, or and then continue from there. All right. Now I'm going to introduce another tool for you to develop your leadership and your thought leadership. It's called books. Okay, you've already seen me maybe a couple of times with books. I've written a book, or 3 books actually, myself as well, on motherhood, parenthood, marriage and birthing, baby care, holistic health in motherhood, okay, and also the psychology. So this is a very interesting subject for anyone that is thinking about their future, because usually we are taught that we should marry and have children and a certain job. And this is very simple. This is only 1, 2, 3. And if you do 1, 2, 3, you figured it out and you're happy and you're good and you're successful. But this is not the truth, guys. And your parents know it. This is not the truth. All right? Okay. So, first of all, this one, The Soul of Leadership by Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra has been around for a very long time. Okay, so, but there are others. So you can look very far back in history. Even in the 1900s, people were talking about leadership. So you can go really back. It doesn't need to be anything of current day. It needs to be actually maybe older. Okay, that's when we call it philosophy. So you go and look into the older things. Look, what I just opened this book and it says consciousness moves in the direction of growth. Treat life as a classroom where every day is the first day of school. If you have a choice, be last in the class ahead of you rather than first in the class behind you. Aim for the highest achievement and be guided step by step from the core of your being. To activate growth, add some fertilizer in the form of energy, attention, and passion. Don't think you've reached the end. There's always another step of evolution waiting for you. Don't assume that you know the whole story. There's always another page to turn. Don't set your sights low. Don't settle for good enough. And the other thing it says, consciousness creates order out of disorder. So do trust that everything has a reason. Look for that reason rather than focusing on the chaos. Keep your mind open to the bigger picture that is emerging. Keep in touch with the meaning and purpose of your work. Remind yourself of the greater good behind every day's effort. As new levels of success unfold, aim even higher. There's infinite orderliness in nature. Therefore, any order of complexity can be effortlessly arranged. Okay, so this reminds me of the chaos theory, which of course is very, there's order in the chaos nowadays with the coronavirus, because everyone is on a lockdown. So, but you can look into chaos theory, okay? So chaos theory, actually no order comes from order. Order comes from chaos. And we need chaos in order to reorder, okay? So, but look into the chaos theory if this is interesting to you. Yeah, so don't impose rigid kind of organization. The order imposed by the mind is ugly compared to the beautiful order that nature unfolds. Don't add to the stress of the situation. Be open to the new order that wants to emerge. You see? And we experience this continuously. So life is actually this kind of chaos and growth and putting again order until the new chaos and new growth and new order. This book I picked up, I wanted to show it to you. Like, it's just so random. It's called A Whole New Mind. And it speaks about this new earth as well. But I just picked this up randomly from like a secondhand shop. So I'm just saying, like, really, you can pick up a book from any place. It can be your cupboards, and you can revisit your own books. You can look with your parents. You can look with your neighbors. You can look with your colleagues. So books are everywhere, and you can just pick them up and take out the information, because that's the information that you need the most. This book, I'm actually gonna read more on this book, because it speaks about in chapter 3 abundance, Asia, and automation. And then it talks about the high concept, high touch, which is the era that's coming up. So with this coronavirus, I want to show it to you. Like, can you check out this graph, please? Or is it reversed, maybe? So it speaks about the agricultural age, which were the farmers. Then it speaks about the industrial age, which were the factory workers. Then it speaks about the information age, which are the knowledge workers. So we just passed that age. And then we are now in the conceptual age, which is the age of creators and empathizers. Empathizers. And this affects our affluence, our technology, and globalization. See? So 18th century, agricultural age, industrial age in the 19th century, information age in the 20th century, and the conceptual age in the 21st century. Exactly what we've just spoken about and discovered. So why I'm interested now in this is just to formulate more ideas about what's next. You know, how can we look, money and meaning. Geez, guys, this is exactly where we're at. You know, all these books they already wrote about, like even my books, they write about parenting, which is futuristic, you know, which most people don't do. And this book was 2005, you see? And that's why books can also help in leadership to formulate and get new words. So it really helps to expand your vocabulary, which will expand your concepts and your thinking, because every word has a meaning, all right? So for example, work. What does that mean? What does work mean? Really, what does that mean? And not just the definition that society gave to it. It's not just a job and you earn money and 9 to 5. No, what is work? You can write a whole book about work. Are you working? Is your schoolwork work? Are you getting paid for it? So what's work? You understand? You need your own kind of definition about work. So also we can expand a bit the ideas of society and not put it in very tight boxes, because life is not like that. Life is way more expansive. For example, again, I'm going to talk about the arts. You know, arts, sports, music, art, design, life design, like coaching, healing. Does is that work, or is that just like hobby, pastime, not important? Food technology, like there's so many things that are our life, and we don't consider them important in our schools and workplaces and our daily life with our families. although they might be the most important part of us being human. So, what's important to you and your work? What would you like to know? What would you like to know about work? Okay, and then the third book that I'm going to introduce is Chicken Soup for the Soul. This one is especially for girls, but the Chicken Soup for the Soul original one is for exactly the age of teenagers. So these are some authors and coaches. They gathered many stories of teenagers, and they will explain to you how other people are going, what they experience. Maybe you've experienced the same, but maybe not. You know, maybe one of your colleagues or friends has experienced loss of family, but you have not. But by knowing that this is possible for people and reading their story, it can help you understand that this is possible for someone's life, and even in your life, this could be a possibility, making you more compassionate and empathetic to other people. So instead of judging them, try to see what's going on in their lives, and have empathy that really anything can happen to a human being, and human beings have already suffered from many things. So I really recommend this book, and if you want, like, I can circulate this one amongst the girls, or guys that want to read about girls. I don't mind. Um, but this is a very good start in the teenage years, and it's the message is really you're not alone. Okay, so you're not alone, and even as an adult, you are not alone. We are all one big human family. We all experience the same things in a little bit different kind of rainbow colors, but in the end we all go through the same, or we know someone that's going through the same. Ooh, flies. Okay, nature. Okay, I'm gonna leave you. I hope you enjoyed this recording. It was longer than the other recordings just because it's very important to talk about thought leadership, because this also is the foundation of coaching, of companies, of education. So I really wanted to dedicate a lot of energy and time on this one. And I wish you so much good luck and strength and growth in the work that you're going to be doing these days and this week and the next months. And let's see where everything takes us. Okay, bye.